Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Podcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever. But, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
Elio normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Podcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hello, welcome back. This episode is brought to you by sportshoes.com. As always, we have a new discount code for you guys, TSP10. That's TSP10 to get 10% off at sportshoes.com. Sarah Calvert on the podcast today, surprise winner, I'm sure it's okay to say, at last week's British Champs. And obviously chasing that standard this weekend as well. So hear from her, get to know Sarah. Matt and I certainly enjoyed getting to know her story and seeing what the future holds for this young talent. So enjoy this. We'll catch you guys very, very soon. Okay, first off, Sarah, just welcome to the podcast. British champion over 1,500 metres. Congratulations. How many times have you watched that race back?
Thank you. I've only watched it back once. I've seen the last 100 metres a few times on my Instagram, but watched the full race back just once.
You watch it back on your own, or did you watch it back with Luke? Did you analyse?
Just on my own, yeah. Because I was thinking, I can't really remember what happened in the race, so I want to go remind myself, did I get boxed in at any point? Like, was I running wide? Yeah.
I think the big thing for me was just your last lap, the way you just battled so hard over the course of that last lap. You ran wide pretty much the whole final 400 as well. Were you surprised how, I guess hard you were working from quite a long way out and how wide you were having to run the whole way?
Yeah, so I think I knew when it picked up that I should be hugging the curve, but obviously that wasn't possible because everyone has that same plan. But I think I got to maybe 200 to go and I felt quite good and the girls were only slightly ahead of me. So I thought, okay, at this point, I just have to run wide. Like, I'm not getting through them on the inside. Laura Muir's going that way. So my only choice is to go wide and hope that in the home straight I can come through. So I think it was just sort of forget about tactics at that point and just give whatever I had.
As you were coming through on that home straight, were you did you feel them coming back to you, or you kind of just focused on yourself and seeing where you'd end up? Or at some point did you think, I've got this here and I'm going to come past all of them?
No, I never thought I was going to come past all of them. I think I got into the home straight and I saw that they were pretty close. So maybe with like 50 meters to go, you've probably seen the pictures. It was just sort of, I close the eyes, head down, grit my teeth, see how far I can get. Yeah, even when I crossed the line, I wasn't sure if I'd got first or second, because I know when I looked to the left, I saw Laura was right there. So it wasn't actually until it came up on the screen that I knew I'd won.
Do you think you win this race if it was faster?
No, honestly. I think I should say yes, shouldn't I? But I think if the race was run on Monday, it would have been a different outcome. But I just put myself in the best position at the time. And if it went faster, then I'd try and do the same thing again. Yeah, but when I was running it, I knew once I was ticking past the 100 meters and they were still going slowly, I was thinking, okay, this is good for me. Because if they were going to go out in a 64-second first lap, the lactic would have come in way too soon.
Would it though? I mean, how you must have been training pretty well going into this race. I mean, World Juniors was an interesting one because it was almost, that British Champs final was almost a carbon copy of World Juniors, where you closed in 58 high, 59. Anyway, unfortunately, you got second on that day. So did you learn anything from World Juniors? You're obviously leading going into the final 200 at World Unis, weren't you? Versus British Champs, you were always battling.
Yeah, so I think at World Unis, I went too early. In Scotland, I've gotten into a bit of a habit of in the Scottish races just kicking with 300 to go. Seems to be my favourite thing. So then when I was on the world scene, I thought, okay, let's do the same thing again. And that doesn't work when everyone's so fast and you're racing. I was racing a 401 girl, what was I thinking? Trying to go away from her at 300 to go. So this time I learned to be a bit more patient. Yeah, and looking back, I'm thinking if only I'd done that at World Unis as well. But maybe if I hadn't made that mistake then, it wouldn't have fixed it for British Champs.
Yeah, absolutely. Has anything changed since the win? Like you talk about, I guess, maybe if the race went a bit quicker, you don't quite think you would kind of take that win. But now after that, do you feel like you're capable of running close to 4 minutes or particularly getting that standard, right?
Yeah, so I think I've definitely gained a lot of confidence from it. When I ran 4:08 at Watford, I just went out behind the pacemaker and I led the whole way. And I don't think I got the most out of myself. Like, that's not my favorite way to run. So I definitely think in a race where I'm dragged around, I can go quicker. Yeah, and I guess at this point, Luke called me yesterday. We wanted to give a couple of days to like calm down and not make any decisions with all the adrenaline in me. So he was like, "What are you thinking now?" And I think he didn't want to tell me. I think we should go for it and just kind of get into a race, hang on, see what happens. But yeah, I was meant to race the 800 this weekend in Belgium, but I've changed to the 1500, and I'm just gonna go and see how fast I can go. Yeah, if I can't get 4:01 and I fall short and run 4:04 or 4:05, it's still a PB. And yeah, I don't really feel like I've got anything to lose now.
I guess when you switched to Luke, we'll get into that in a bit more detail, but perhaps you laid out a long-term plan of when you wanted to win a British title. Has this come along a lot sooner than you originally thought?
Yeah, we didn't talk about winning a British title. I don't know if either of us believed that would be possible, especially in the near future. Yeah, when I had my first call with Luke, he sort of asked me about my goals, and I said I want to run under 2 minutes. I just want to break all my PBs. So this year, I have broken all my PBs. So we've achieved that. Before the race on Sunday, we were just sitting in the warm-up track, and he asked me, "What are your goals? Or what would be like your A goal?" And I said, I felt a bit silly saying it, but I was like, I would love to get a medal. Maybe I'm being delusional, but that's what I'm going to go for on the line. Yeah, so I think, I've kind of surpassed all my goals.
Easily. I mean, I want to talk about the 800 a little bit because you ran 2 minutes back in June, and I guess you're closer to the world standard over the 800 as you are the 1500 currently, but you haven't really chased the 800, and obviously you haven't competed in it at a championship either. So were you tempted after that 2 minute performance to go for an 800 and try and find a faster one in there somewhere?
Yeah, I was definitely tempted, but I'd already been picked for World Unis in the 1500. So I kind of had to maximize that opportunity and do as well as I could do there, because I hadn't run an 800 before the selection came out. Even before the week before British Champs, I was messaging Luke, like, "Are you sure I should still do the 1500? What about the 800? I maybe have a better chance." But he seems to know what he's talking about, because he told me to keep with doing the 1500. But I think, I'll try and see how fast I can go over 1500 for the next couple of weeks, and then after that, I'll try and chase a faster 800.
Do you see yourself as like a pure kind of 15 athlete, like who's equally good at both, or is there one that kind of in the next like 4 years, 8 years maybe, that you'd really love to focus on?
Yeah, so I always think like if I'm running well over one, I'm always running well over the other. I've never really trained specifically for the 8 or for the 15. I think after I ran 2 minutes, I chatted to Luke, and he said if I was going to just focus on the 800, we have to do a bit more like power stuff rather than just sort of speed endurance training. But I think, they both seem to complement each other really well, and I like doing them both.
I guess you don't know yet how you've coped with this week, but I think it must be a weird one for you to come off an achievement like that, a result like that, and you have to try and put that win behind you as quickly as possible, especially now you're turning your attention to Saturday. Have you been able to just focus and just reset and come away? I mean, it's Thursday now and you're on a podcast with us, so probably not, but have you planned in some time to just refocus? And any advice for others when they come off the back of a big win like that to try and humble themselves and go again?
Yeah, so I think I had to practice this a bit actually with World Unis, because I was really excited last Sunday, and that was a big rush. And then the next week I actually picked up a bit of a cold, because I think I had a bit too much excitement maybe. But luckily managed to rest up enough and get over that before the weekend. Just same thing again. Like, I took Monday as a rest day, just really tried to recover. Yeah, and I did an easy session yesterday. Yeah, so I'm just trying. I'm trying to forget about the weekend, like not sign up to too many podcasts or anything. This was one I couldn't turn down though. So yeah. But also I'm hoping I can use a bit of excitement to like keep me going, because I think the excitement from World Unis definitely helped me out at British Champs, and I want to like kind of ride that wave and keep it going.
Yeah, that's it. Fingers crossed for excitement on Saturday as well. Get the time, and then you take that into the world. So that's the aim, right? Look, let's chat more about moving to Luke then, because we spoke to you after the race on Sunday, and it's the biggest kind of change you've had this year. Talk about, I guess, how that kind of decision started and why Luke Gunn, basically.
Yeah, so I remember at the end of last season, maybe this time last year, I did the Birmingham BMC, and I think around 4:21. And I crossed the line, and I was like, I couldn't even look at the time I'd run afterwards. I was so upset. Then I did the Monument Mile, and I ran like 4:45, and this is just not where I want to be. Like I've been training my whole life, and I've had, over the past few years, like maybe the past 5 years, I've had so many injuries and illnesses and stuff, things that have just been getting in the way of training. But the whole time I was always trying to run, like I was trying to get there. So at the end of last year, I just kind of thought something needs to change. I actually didn't know if that change needed to be, do I just take a step back from running and look at it from a different angle? Like, do I just try and, I don't know, take up hill running or cycling or something, like one of my other hobbies? But something told me that I should give it another shot, like make another change in running that's going to still give me a chance. And I chose Luke because I knew Izzy and Abby were incredibly consistent, and they were always there. And that was something that I wasn't. And that's what I wanted, because racing is fun. And if you can run, well, I mean, Izzy runs 2 flat like every week, doesn't she? And she has done for years. Like that's great. And also I'd met Luke at Euro Juniors in 2019, and I just remember him being a nice guy. So I sent him a message on Instagram, half expecting him to get back to me and say, sorry, Sarah, you're not really at the level that I want to coach. But no, he was great. He got back to me, and we started working together last September. Yeah, and it seems to be going well.
How do you build a relationship early on then, when you're obviously in Scotland, Luke's in Birmingham? You must have had some interaction with him before things obviously kicked off. Like you must have had some good chats with him, perhaps, you know, at BMCs and stuff like that as well. But yeah, what were the first few months like, putting your complete faith in Luke?
Yeah, so I think I was at such a low point with my athletics that I just had to trust him. Like I just kind of said to him, like, he writes out my training peaks, and I try and complete each day to the best I can. And I think when you put that much trust into a program, then you get the best results. Like I'm not second guessing anything. And I think that's what started to happen in my last setup. And I also kind of felt from my first chat with Luke that he really believed in me. Like, I don't know why he was believing in me if I was running 4:45 for the mile, but he seemed to have a lot of faith, and he believed that I could get better and that he could help me with that. And then I think so initially I had a few hiccups, just sort of like niggles would keep popping up, like they had been in the past. And we also had to find the right training that would work for me. So Luke would maybe set things, and I remember the first sort of full week back after the off season he set for me was a lot of running. And I messaged him to be like, look, I don't know if that's going to work. Like, I know I just get injured if I do that much. And straight away he was like, yeah, no, totally get it. He thought about it again, and we changed a couple of things. And it's just been making small changes like that over then maybe between like September and February before we found a good structure, and then sticking with it.
Was that hard to do, to push back in a way? Because obviously you've just moved to a new coach, and I think a lot of people would be sort of scared of like disappointing them in a way and saying, no, I don't think I can do that. I think I'm going to get injured, you know?
Yeah, like I would have loved to have been able to stick to running every day and doing like, I don't know, 100% of what he initially thought. But I have sort of learned that it's better to stay injury free. And if you have to do a bit less, then that's just kind of what you have to do in order to progress. And he was so understanding of that it made it a lot easier.
So you dictated the volume a little bit early on, but then was he dictating, obviously, the sessions, the intensities you were running at? What was different to what you had been doing? Or was it just the fact that you guys managed to communicate enough and just stay consistent throughout the whole winter when you hadn't been able to do that?
Yeah, so he would set most of, like, pretty much all of the stuff. Yeah, so I guess the main thing I would say is that on a Sunday, he would initially set me a long run and I was doing that. But with that long run, injuries were creeping up and I would have to take a couple of weeks off, like every month or something. But then we changed that to 2.5 hour bike ride. And since we've had that in there, I've been a lot more consistent. So just small changes like that. Or on a Wednesday, I think initially he'd set me a 45-minute run and an elliptical. But we just changed that in the end to 2 lots of cross training. And then the sessions as well. He sets all of them. And I just kind of follow them and get them done.
Are they hard to do? Hard to execute on your own? Or have you got company? Talk us about that setup up there in Scotland.
Yeah, so I usually try and rope someone in to help me. This year I've done a lot of my training with a guy who's run like a 150, 800 meters. And I don't know, I feel like he's under training running with me, but he seems happy to do it. And that's been a lot of help. Some of those key sessions I've managed to get in with him. And then actually in the winter, maybe from like September till December for those long tempo runs, there's like a big group in Edinburgh. On a Tuesday night, if you go to the Meadows at 6:15, there's about 50 people doing a long tempo run. So if Luke just sets me a certain amount of volume to do that day, I can go and get it done with them, and that makes it so much easier running in a group.
Talk about how the training's kind of progressed throughout the season then, because one thing you mentioned after the race was Luke's ability to get you to peak at the right time. So how's it kind of changed from those kind of early months in the winter to what you've been doing like the last 6 weeks or so?
Yeah, so I think one key thing I've noticed is that even in like June, on a Tuesday, Luke would have me doing a grass session, which I thought was, I don't know, I thought, why am I not on the track? Like, surely I need to be getting this key work in. Because that's what I would have been doing in the past. But actually, I think he's really focusing on just building that aerobic base and like keeping it going, even in the summer. And I've only had a few weeks, maybe like just in the weeks building up to the champs, where I do 2 track sessions in the week. And I think that's really been a big help.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Probably helps keep you a little healthier as well, a little less injury risk on the grass there. I mean, also, you talk about getting down Edinburgh 6:15, training in with that group there. You are a med student, right? Are you in your last year?
Yeah, so I've got 2 years left, like a year and a half left. This week I've been having a few thoughts about maybe taking a year out or making some changes. I got an email from the med school saying, well done, and asking how they could help me out. So I'm thinking,
No assignments then?
Did you say
no assignments.
Write a check.
Yeah, so maybe I get some time off for training camps. I had emailed a couple of months ago asking if they could make any like special circumstances for me next year, and they asked me for proof that I was that I was an elite athlete. And now they said they saw on the BBC my article, so I no longer need proof. So hopefully they can be a bit more lenient.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
How has that been then for the past 3-4 years? Because you're clearly like investing in your athletics, but it's a degree where you clearly have to invest in that as well. So what's it been like balancing it, and how have you got to the level you're already at, balancing the two?
Yeah, so I think it helps that I really like them both. I think I want to be a doctor at some point in my life just as much as I want to be a runner. I know I probably can't do them both at the same time because they're both very time-consuming careers. So most of the weekdays will be like maybe going to the gym in the morning, then cycling to the hospital, cycling back, going to training, go to sleep, wake up and do the same thing the next day. Yeah. I think I have a lot of placement and it's kind of unpredictable as to when I'm going to get to leave placement in the day. Sometimes it's very lenient and you get to go home at lunchtime and that makes it a lot easier. But sometimes you can find yourself there pretty late and then rushing to fit training in. So it's busy, but I don't think it's impossible. Obviously, I'm not maximizing my recovery. And I have noticed that, well, especially this year, like I wasn't running amazingly during the semester, then finish my exams. It takes a few weeks and then I start running so much better. So that does make me think that if I had, say, a whole year of having this just focusing on running, then it would really improve my performance. And but I'm just trying to work out when it would be best to do that.
Well, yeah, because obviously 2026, you have the Euros and Commies, which you're knocking on the door of already. I mean, you've just won a British title, so you could probably replicate that. But I guess you have to try and time it thinking about LA, don't you? And when best to take that year out.
Yeah, no, it seems crazy for me to think about LA. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm thinking a bit too high, but I think I need to maximize my chances, right? So yeah, if I have 18 months left, I just get them done now and then have, say, that year and a half before LA. I don't know. Uni starts back on Monday, so I kind of need to decide before then. And it's probably going to be based off how I run at the weekend. Yeah, I think whatever I'll do, hopefully it'll work out fine.
Oh, there you go. If there's an empty seat Monday morning, your lecturers will at least know your decision, won't they? Yeah. Hey, how have Stride Athletics supported you? You know, there was no one happier than those guys when you won that race on the weekend in the mixed zone. And obviously they are just doing incredible things in the sport, but especially, you know, up in Scotland, focusing on specific athletes. They're putting on races and they're getting around and they're covering our sport in a great way.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely great. They told me after the race they got told to calm down in the mixed zone. So it's good to know they care and they're happy when I do well. They put on some great 5K races in Linlithgow, which is actually where I'm from. I did one of their 5Ks in April just to support them. It was a bit of a tough day for me, but no, it was a great event. And they make some great YouTube videos. I actually first met them when they came to film Alice Goodall's YouTube video before she won the European Under-23s. And then I applied to the Athlete Springboard in January, got onto that, and they've been helping me out with getting to races. They paid for some of my meals when I was in Birmingham. They took us to Vienna. There's the group of guys on the Athlete Springboard it's like a really good environment to be in and really good to travel to races with them. So it's been great.
Yeah, and going forward, is it right you've recently signed with an agent this week to try and I guess help with that sort of thing going forwards?
Yes, I met my agent for the first time at British Champs and he's been helping me out with getting into races and just sorting some things out for me. He got me into the race in Belgium at the weekend, so I'm hoping that's going to help me out.
Who is it? What agency?
Dave Scott from Astra Partners.
Nice.
Yeah, Luke knows him and Mark Rowland also knows him, so I can trust him. Yeah, and he's also Izzy and Abby's agent as well, so it seemed like a good person to go with.
Yeah. Stepping into a new world. Professional
I knew
running.
nothing about it, so I just had to trust other people.
Speaking of Mark, actually, how much kind of, I guess, oversight does he have University in Edinburgh?
Yeah, so I think one of the main changes I made this past year was doing skills and drills with Mark Rowland on a Thursday. Yeah, I've never done drills like it in my life, but it's like an hour of really intense drills, hurdles, sprints, and you come away from that absolutely knackered. Like I struggle with the cool down after that. But that's been really valuable. I don't have the best running style, and I think Mark picked up on that pretty quickly. So he was keen for me to get along to those. And he's been a great help. His sessions run in the day at like 10 and 3. So I can't make those usually with uni. I usually have to go in the evening. But when he's there, maybe on a Saturday morning, he's pretty good at giving advice and telling me to focus on my form and just overseeing everything.
Yeah, do you see Edinburgh as a place where you can be a professional up there? You know, that could be your base for the next 10 years of your career. Obviously, you're working with Luke. I mean, you're probably having ideas of how you can see him more, right? How he can coach you a little bit more hands-on, or do you look at your setup and go, actually, this year worked just fine?
I mean, I've been honest with Mark and I've been honest with Gabriella Stafford when she moved to Edinburgh. And I said, why are you guys in Edinburgh? Doesn't make sense, honestly. Edinburgh is a lovely place and the uni's great, but the running is not prime for
Really?
middle distance athletes. No. We have a lot of good runners, but the setup is just not, I don't know. Someone needs to come in and do something about it. Yeah, so I think if I did take a year out of uni or something, I'd want to move closer to Luke and train people down there. Yeah.
What do you mean by the setup? Is it like there's bad run routes, the weather sucks, or is it just a bit fragmented, like everyone's doing a million and one different things?
Yeah, it's fragmented. The run routes are great. It's a lovely place. The weather is not the best, but you guys know that I like it when it's windy in a race, so that prepares me well. And yeah, I think it's just a bit, it's good if you want to run a 5K. So Megan Keith, she has about 10 pacemakers and it works out really well for her. And I would love to go and do that with them, but like if there's not any 8 and 15 runners here, then there's not really much I can do about that. Yeah, it's been nice spending time with Gabriella. I feel like it's cool to spend time with someone who's been at the top level. And although I haven't done many sessions with her, I think just kind of surrounding myself with her and her husband, it just kind of makes me think, okay, this is actually possible. They're so inspiring and they make these goals seem so much closer and more possible than they might have seen before. And that's been a great help. Yeah, so there are great things about running in Edinburgh. And if anyone's listening to this, I don't want to put them off because I'd love to run with them. But yeah, I think over the past few years before I found Luke, the fragmented nature of running setup in Edinburgh was probably the reason why it took me a bit longer to get on the right path.
What was that setup before Luke? We haven't really touched upon it, but you were a great junior. You were making GB teams as a junior, and you were always running quite fast. I know you had periods where you were injured and stuff, but you'd always show yourself in a season. So you must have had a good relationship with your coach, and you developed well.
Yeah, so when I was at school, I trained with Livingston Athletics Club. My coach was Sandra Hardacre, and that was great. That was awesome. I'm so grateful for that, upbringing in sport. I actually saw Sandra in Birmingham on Sunday, and she was crying, and we had a hug, and I started crying too. And that was just, I feel really lucky to have had that experience. And then I came to uni thinking, okay, right, we're going to continue on this trajectory. It's going to be easy and everything's going to go smoothly. And I think it's definitely taken a lot longer than I initially imagined it. So I had a few different coaches for various reasons. Most recently, I was coached by Lewis Walker, who also coached Jenny Selman, Hannah Anderson. And I think that setup works really well for other athletes. It really works for Jenny, it really works for Hannah. They both progressed really well. And it also worked for me in the way that I made small improvements every now and again, but I had these big gaps where I wasn't able to train at all. Yeah, it just, for one reason or the other, it wasn't right for me. And I gave it a good shot, and I'm glad I had that opportunity to run with Jenny because that was really good and also really brought me on. But I think maybe just the sessions were very intense, very full on. And yeah, I had a bit more sort of say in what I did on the days in between training. I'm the kind of person who wants to do more. I need someone to tell me to stop, or this is going to be enough for today. Jenny's really good in the way that she seems to know what her body's capable of, and she manages that well. And same with Hannah. So yeah, that works for them. But I just needed more of someone like Luke who's going to set it out on training peaks the day to day, and maybe doesn't always have me doing, the sessions aren't as high volume. The key intense race specific sessions are there, but the other sessions are less frequent, and the sessions in between are a lot less intense.
What do those sessions look like for someone like yourself? So those kind of less intense sessions, the ones that I guess aren't talked about, there's no crazy splits, but the ones you're doing consistently, what do they actually look like?
Yeah, so On the Tuesday of a race week, we usually change between, say, some tempo, so maybe 4 by 5 minutes tempo, and then 4 200s at 800 pace. That would be one of them. And then the other one would be like 10 300s with jog, 100 recovery in, say, 53, 54 seconds. So they're really nothing special. And when Luke writes do 300s in 54 seconds, I'm thinking, what am I going to get from this? But it keeps me going. It doesn't make me too tired, and it seems a good way to keep things ticking over. And yeah.
I mean, that's the aim, right? Just to keep yourself ticking over and just keep yourself aerobically fit, and it's clearly worked. So that is, just 3K of volume. That is a shock, a little surprising. Here, let's talk. You had your first drugs test on the weekend. One of our questions is going to be, what's your funniest drugs testing story? But yeah, I don't think you'd ever been drugs tested before.
No, it was very weird. So I spent so long in the media zone, just, I don't know, I seemed to be a bit hyper and just everyone was stopping me. And then they took me to drugs testing, and I again took like 2 hours to get through that. So by the time I came out, everyone had gone home. It was empty. Like, Luke had to go home. He was waiting, but I was taking so long. But luckily, the stride guys waited on me. They were the last people there. But no, that was a good experience. I guess it's good to know what happens. And the lady who was doing it with me, she was very understanding and explaining it all to me. So I think it was a good experience.
Absolutely. Do you have a pre-race ritual at all? Is there any like music you listen to, anything like you do to get yourself in the zone?
I always paint my nails because I'm always bored on the day of the race. I've got nothing else to do. What else do I do? I listen to... I actually don't really have any like favorite songs or anything. I just always listen to Discover Weekly on Spotify. I know that's a bit weird, but yeah. And then I just try and rest up as much as possible.
That's cool. I was going to say, has it been strange this week seeing your face a lot more on social media? Like when you go on your phone, you must like see your face, see people commenting about you. What's the best thing you've read so far this week?
Yes, it is very strange. I don't want to listen to any of the things I've said, especially not after that race. I've seen a couple of things. I saw one comment on the video of the race saying 4:16 with other girls running backwards. So that was good to know. Everyone thinks I should have won. Yeah, you see a few funny things, but it's kind of nice.
Yeah, good. All in good spirits, hey?
Mm-hmm.
And then, one more thing. What did you and Laura share a few words after the race? Because you two have a very similar like style in the sense that your last lap just reminded me so much of her. Like when she puts her head down, prime Laura Muir in like 2015, 2017, and she just flats out. Like you were very similar in that last 400, the way you're just so tenacious and you just battled the whole way.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Take inspiration from her. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be compared to Laura Muir. I've always looked up to her, and it's also cool that she did vet medicine and she ran on the side. I was asking her about that before going to the podium. I was saying, did you ever take a year out? Did you ever try and go part-time or anything? And she was giving me some good advice. Yeah, and then actually after World Unis, a few people said to me, when you went to the front with 500 to go, that was really like Laura Muir. But obviously you can't do what Laura Muir would do when Laura Muir is also in the race. So that wasn't going to work on Sunday. It was great to really meet her properly. I saw her doing a session at the Emirates in Glasgow at Christmas. And I've kind of seen her around, but that was my first time actually getting to know her and taking advice from her. But that was really good.
Yeah, brilliant. I think we definitely enjoyed watching that. And I think it was definitely almost like a pivotal moment, really, kind of like passing on to the next generation of athletes. So, look, Sarah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast today. Really appreciate it, and good luck on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.